News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Well, Karen, the stock surge, particularly in the NASDAQ futures, follows blowout quarters from a pair of tech heavyweights. Let's begin with Microsoft. Those shares are up more than 8.5% in early trading. The company reported stronger than expected quarterly sales and profit growth. Customer demand for cloud services held steady despite economic turbulence. Microsoft's Azure cloud unit posted a 33% revenue gain. 16 percentage points of that growth was attributed to AI. Here's CEO Satya Nadella on the company conference call.
We just want to make sure we're accounting for the latest and greatest sort of information we have on all of that. And that's what you see reflected. And I feel very, very good about the pace.
Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella expects the cloud unit to grow as much as 35% in the current quarter.
Shares of Meta also rallying this morning, Nathan. They're up 6.5%. The Facebook and Instagram owner reported first quarter revenue that beat expectations. The company also says current quarter revenue will be in line with analyst estimates. Here's CEO Mark Zuckerberg on the company's earnings call.
We've had a strong start to the year. Our community keeps growing with more than 3.4 billion people now using at least one of our apps each day. Our business is also performing very well, and I think we're well positioned to navigate the macroeconomic uncertainty.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the company expects to spend $64 billion to $72 billion this year, attributing some of the increase to tariffs imposed by the Trump administration.
And Karen, we hear from two more of the so-called Magnificent Seven this afternoon when Apple and Amazon report their earnings. Let's get an Apple preview from Bloomberg's Tom Busby.
Key for investors will be any insights into the future impact of the Trump tariffs and the company's ongoing efforts to catch up with rivals on artificial intelligence, something that could risk its reputation and future sales. Now, Apple's heavy reliance on China for iPhone production has made it particularly vulnerable to tariffs, and whether that exposure could lead to price hikes or more production shifting to India or elsewhere. Bloomberg consensus calls for revenue of $94.62 billion on earnings per share of $1.62. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Tom, thank you. While staying in the tech world, the chair of Tesla is denying a report the board had looked to replace Chief Executive Elon Musk. The Wall Street Journal reported that Tesla board members had contacted executive search firms to seek a successor to Musk earlier this year. According to the paper, the directors' approaches took place about a month ago as investors were concerned about the amount of time Musk was devoting to his cost-cutting role with the government. On a post on Tesla's X account, Chair Robin Denholm said, quote, "This is absolutely false, and directors are highly confident in Musk's ability."
Well, meanwhile, Karen, Elon Musk says he's considering sending his government efficiency team to the Federal Reserve to examine its spending. He cited the $2.5 billion renovation of the Fed's Washington, D.C. headquarters as an example of potential government waste. Now, the Fed does not rely on congressional money to cover its operations. Instead, it funds itself from income generated by securities held on its balance sheet. But the central bank has run a deficit in recent years as interest expenses have risen, and that has drawn Elon Musk's scrutiny.
Nathan, we have new developments this morning to end the war in Ukraine. The U.S. and Ukraine reached a deal over access to Ukraine's natural resources. The U.S. will be given access to new investment projects to develop things like aluminum, graphite, oil, and natural gas. Bloomberg's Dan Flatley in Washington tells us why this deal is so important for Ukraine.
Essentially what this is a guarantee, as far as the Trump administration is concerned, that the U.S. will continue to remain involved in Ukraine, will help Ukraine achieve some sort of equitable peace deal with Russia, if that's even possible at this point. But this deal is key.
And Bloomberg's Dan Flatley says the agreement will create a fund to attract global investment into Ukraine, while the U.S. getting first claim on profits transferred into the fund, which will be jointly managed by both nations. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.